obviously. Now, I hope I didn't have a big breakfast because this could be dangerous if I did. And thank God that even though I left the skylight open, I don't think I'm going to scratch the roof. If I come across water and fall into water, it tells me how deep I fell into the water.
What do you want that for hiking?
You never know, I could fall into water.
Okay.
It's a compass. So like if I was trekking into the woods and I was heading north and I wanted to go home, head south.
Okay.
But without a compass, I'm no good. Hi. In response to some of the comments that I've received on the first video, I can't answer all the comments at one time, but people have asked about my background. So I guess that's standard. I grew up on Long Island, New York. I went to college in Boston, Emerson College. Proud of it. I got my master's in speech communication with a concentration in drama therapy. I went to teach on Long Island for a couple of years, and I was making $6,500 to $7,500 a year with my master's, and it just wasn't enough money. So during the summer I got a job in the garment industry, and I made more money in the summer than I did in a year teaching back in 1971-2. So I stayed in the garment industry, and I retired from the garment industry. I represented some excellent companies, which I will not name. At one point, I got out of the sweater industry, and selling sweaters in Florida was a trip and a half, but I did very well. And then I decided to go into the swimwear industry, and unfortunately got embezzled, and went to work for another swimwear company, and I retired in 2009. My first wife of we just missed our 30th anniversary. I met her in college. She was 16 when I met her. I had just turned 17 or 18. And so we grew up together. And we were together until she passed away from cancer at the age of 50. When I was traveling as a salesman, when we left New York in 1973 to go on the road, we moved into a 28-foot Winnebago. And we traveled Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama before we moved to Florida. So that was my first motorhome. And then, as a traveling salesman over the years, I bought a Rialta and a Born Free, and I've traveled in them as well, basically as a mobile showroom, but not actually living in. The Rialta, with my second wife, we traveled in for a month, and we had a lot of problems with it, and we wound up selling it. This isn't my first rodeo having a motorhome, but the first one actually living in. I bought this from a 20-year-old couple who didn't want to go back to school or didn't want to go back to work, and they told their both sets of parents that they wanted to travel. And one of the grandparents said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll buy them a van and I'll fix it up. And he happened to be a carpenter. So all of this stuff that you see, other than this table, all of this stuff that you see may be heavy, but it's sturdy. I've seen very expensive, without mentioning names, $120,000 and up that are built on a Promaster 2500 chassis. So these very expensive interiors may look good, and they may be lightweight, and that's very important for mileage, no doubt about it. But they're made of laminate or very, very thin wood And I got to be honest with you, I don't mind losing a couple of miles per gallon to know that I'm sturdy and not shaking and rocking, and with the skylight that I have and the van and the mosquito nets. I don't have a lot of humidity and heat coming in here, and I just have a feeling that with a laminate everything, that eventually those things are going to buckle or cause bubbles or unpeel from the walls. So I love this van, and I've said that before. I went on the road April 24th, and I have, although I've traveled a lot, I also, on this trip, this is the way I looked at this trip. Number one, I wanted to see old friends and family that I haven't seen in a long time. And number two, if you went to London or Paris and you asked me, hey, I'm going to London or Paris, do you have any suggestions? I would say get on a double-decker red bus and go for the tour. And if you're going to spend a week or so in Paris or London, you take the tour to get an overview of what the place looks like and where you want to spend time. That's the way I'm doing this trip. I'm not rushing through it, but I do want to be in New York in the next 5 weeks for the 4th of July to visit other dear friends. And so I'm making this trip. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest before, and I fell in love with it. So I will definitely be back and spend more time. I've experienced some major things, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing an overview of the United States. So just to give you an idea of what this trip is about, and I know that in the fall, probably starting in September, I'm going to head up to New England, and I'm going to follow the changing of the leaves all the way down to the Carolinas, and that's probably going to be my next big trip. So now you have an idea of who I am, what I'm all about, and a little of my background without getting too personal. And I have a gorgeous little granddaughter who turned 5 years old a couple of weeks ago, and she gave me Minnie to keep me company. And I take a lot of pictures with Minnie, and Minnie has been a true companion. Right, Minnie?
Aha!
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Every time I film, I always make sure that my van is dirty so that we have realism. And you can see my filthy fingerprints. My buddy Orlando and I, who's filming, are boondocking near Canyon City, Colorado, in an absolutely spectacular place, and we are thrilled. We've got a flowing stream below us, and it's just absolutely magnificent here. This is an amazing invention. Now, the top of my van is 9.5 feet. This ladder is 12.5 feet, and it came in different sizes. However, I could have bought a 10.5 footer or a 9 footer. But when I think about it, and all those expensive 2500 chassis vehicles that are made by famous names, and they have a fixed ladder, the ladder only goes to the very top, which means when you get on the last rung of the ladder, you got to swing yourself over or crawl out onto the roof to get off the ladder that just goes to the top. And look at how high I go up. So now, make sure that it doesn't slide anywhere. And then I also put a towel on it. Even though this is plastic, and it probably won't affect the van. Oh, look, I don't need any marks on the van. So this is what I was saying. I go up and I'm here. I didn't have to crawl or anything. So, it's beautiful from every angle here. Oh wow, you can see the stream go further in the distance. Pretty cool. So, up here I have 3 Renogy 100 solar panels, and then my faux son-in-law was kind enough to build this platform for me, and I went out and bought some indoor-outdoor carpet, and I can actually sit up here. I can lay down up here. It's, I believe, 70 inches or 72 inches across, so it's fine for me to be laying here. I haven't been to a beach yet, but I would assume this would be an absolutely fantastic place to be, not just to get a gorgeous view of the beach and the ocean or the lake or wherever we are, but to be able to have your own privacy up here and be far enough away where, you know, it's not like you're at the next blanket, you know. So this is like really, really cool, and I'm glad I have the skylight. When I purchased the van, the skylight was here, but I had seen there's no name on the skylight, which is upsetting, because I'd like to recommend it, but there's no name. And I saw on one of the Vanlife videos that a gal ordered this from Germany, so she said it took a couple of months to come. So I'm blessed to have that, because at night I look at the stars, and then I'll shut off the blackout curtain, and then when I wake up in the morning, the van of course is dark and I'm sleeping in there with all the windows covered, and then all I do in the morning is just move that blackout curtain to the side, and I have sunlight coming into the back of the van, and that starts my morning. And it's I don't want to say it's a ritual, it's the actual thing that anybody would do. But yeah, it makes the van even more livable than I think it is. Having daylight and natural light is so much better than, to me, having no windows and LED lights and feel like you're living in a coffin with LED lights. My personal opinion. At any rate, if I haven't mentioned this to you, I love my van. Until next time, we'll see you on the road. Ciao, ciao.